Hey guys, I'm Mark, and welcome to my kitchen. If you've been paying attention to the last couple of videos I put out or to the podcast, you already know about this project. If you don't, this video is going to explain the next, I suppose, several months worth of content I'm going to have going. It's also going to act as like the before video. You know how all those HGTV things really like their before and after side-by-side shots? I'm not much of a before shot kind of guy. I just want to get the work done. I want to get into it. I want to do it. But I'm told that that's the wrong way to do it. So this is going to be kind of like the walkthrough, the explanation of the work we're going to do, and the look at the way it currently is, so that when we get to the end of it, we can come back and reference this and see the before and the after. So let's just flip you around and we'll start here in the kitchen. This is the main reason we're doing this. This is the kitchen in the house we bought. We've been here about 5 years now. The house is built in '52, and say hi, Knox. Keep licking the floor then. That's awesome. The house is built in '52. I don't believe this is the original kitchen, but my best guess is maybe it was redone in the '80s, and I don't know what I based that on other than it doesn't look newer than that to me. It's small, it's cramped, we're on wide angle right now, so it kind of helps make it look a little bit bigger, but that's just so I can show this off a little bit more. And then the kitchen goes into the dining room and the living room. And what we are going to do is gut everything in this whole space down to the studs, because that little beam and that half wall is coming out. We're gonna open this whole thing up and essentially take that corner right there and fold it flat against that exterior wall. So now we're gonna have countertop all the way around here, and the fridge will come to a stop. Almost tripped and died. Come to a stop almost right there where that line in the wall is, as long as we're talking about that line in the wall. I've actually filmed this once already. I filmed the entire walkthrough. I did everything I wanted to do. It seemed really good. I was happy with it. I put it in the computer, and then I came and ripped out these built-in corner cabinets that were in there. Well, when I went to edit the footage, I realized my microphone wasn't actually connected to the receiver and the audio was garbage, and I spent a little time trying to edit it, and I just wasn't happy with it. So here we are redoing the whole walkthrough after those corner cabinet things have already been ripped out of here. So maybe there's some footage of that I can salvage and sprinkle in here. You'll know it if you're looking at it. If you're not, well, then I'm rambling about nothing. So anyway, this dining room had big ugly built-in corner cabinets in it, and I'm pretty sure those were actually original to the house, because when you get back here and look at it, you know, there's a stud seam right there. I don't think this was ever actually fully painted. I think that's just the drywall compound that they used at the time, and not even drywall. It's actually what they would call rock lath. If you see here where I ripped those things out, it sort of ripped a chunk of concrete out of there. If I back you up here a little bit and look, we cut a hole here to see if there was actually a beam in here or if it was just decorative, and it was just decorative. But if you look, the first half is like cement board and the second half is more like drywall. So this is rock lath. This is just material that they used back when they built this house. And it's miserable to work with, and it's not gonna be any fun, but we're gonna rip all of it out. Let's get back to more of the plan, I think, and then we'll talk about some more of this. So that wall's coming out, that beam's coming out, this weird arch entryway thing is coming out, and in fact, that closet's going away too. So then this wall will actually come back out to about here and then go to the exterior wall there, and we're gonna gain that much more room. So if you stand back and look, we're gonna go from compartmentalized spaces to just one great big open rectangle. Now, the reason we are going to rip everything out down to the studs is because, like I said, this was built in '52, and it's a very, very drafty house. This direction is northwest. The dominant wind comes from the northwest. In fact, it's terribly windy right now, and you can stand here with all the windows and doors closed and feel breeze. Now, especially in the middle of winter when it's 10 below outside, even with the furnace running, it just feels cold right here because the wind is just blowing straight through the walls and wrecking everything. So we're putting in new windows in this whole side, ripping all the studs, or ripping all the drywall, the rock lath, whatever you want to call it, down to the studs so I can spray foam insulate everything all the way back to the main entrance back that way. That way, there's not going to be any more breeze in here. The wind's not going to blow through this anymore. And then we're going to see about either spray foaming all the way out to the thickness of the studs or doing a kind of a barrier with spray foam and then putting batting on top of it. But that's to be decided a little bit later. All that to say, we are going to seal this whole thing up. We're going to do some new electrical stuff while the walls are open. And then we'll put new drywall down on the whole thing, mud, texture, whatever it takes, and open this whole room up so we can get back to working on the kitchen, which started this whole project. All right, so earlier I mentioned, I've talked about this on the podcast, which is We Built a Thing, which I record with Bruce Ulrich and Drew Fisher. And if you're not listening to it, you should be, because what are you doing here? But I say that because I've talked about this enough on the podcast that I actually had a listener reach out to me and say, hey, I design kitchens for a living. You mind if I take a crack at yours? And because I wasn't exactly sure how to rip all this out and reassemble it so that we had more space, I was like, sure, that'd be fantastic. So Joe is a listener, longtime listener, really good guy. He did some drawings for me. He's actually got a package of bigger, prettier, I'm not exactly sure what to expect to drawings, but a little bit later when we get into that part of the process, I'll show you some more. But for right now, it's just a little bit of these are just some quickie printouts. I set this one down in water so it doesn't look that great, but this is an aerial view of what we've got going here. This is going to be the new sink wall. This is going to be this wall. And I scratched out a bunch of just trying to figure out board feet for what I needed to order for cabinets. But this is my roadmap for now that's going to get me started on this. So like I said, everything's ripping out. Mostly the appliances are going to stay in about a similar position. Dishwasher goes next to sink. Stove is going to move over a little bit. Above stove, microwave. Fridge gets put over there. Later on in this process, we'll start working on building the new cabinets. The other thing I want to point out is I hate this low counter right next to the main door that we use. I don't know why. I think it was just so that you could have more of a east-facing window so that a lot more light can come into that side early in the day. But because it's low, to get the bigger window, this just becomes the dumping ground. You can see it's got stuff piled on it. You come in that door, you drop stuff there, and if that's just so you can kick your shoes off and take your coat off, that's fine, but it ends up just collecting junk. So this is going to end up being a main height counter by the time we're done, or a full height counter matching the rest of it. And I think we're going to be able to keep it cleaner because it's just not going to be so convenient to just pile garbage there. That's my hope anyway. The other big difference is there's going to be an island that'll get built into here. So that's going to darn near double the square footage that we can actually work on as far as cooking and stuff. And then it's going to have at least 3 seats for sort of like bar seating so the kids can sit in here and talk while we're cooking or whatever it is we're doing. Another little thing about the kitchen that's going to be nice is this right here is a closet space that's accessed from that hallway. And it's so deep, I mean, you can look at it there. There's a very, very deep closet and it's not well utilized. The storage isn't great and we just sort of pack stuff in it from the other side. So what I'm going to do is take this face off and put in a false wall, probably at about 2/3. So you'll have 2/3 that way, 1/3 this way. And I'm going to put a false wall inside there. I don't know if false wall is the right way. I'm going to separate the 2 compartments and then we're going to add kitchen type cupboards that's going to match the kitchen to this side, and it's going to end up being a bit of a built-in pantry, so we don't lose storage back there because we're not using it well anyway, and we add storage here, and that's going to be pretty nice and convenient. So that's getting added, and then staircase goes upstairs. Everything in these old houses is very closed off. There was a door here at one point. There was a door to the stairs at one point. We're actually going to knock a corner out of that wall and put a railing in there and open that up so you can stand here and actually see up to the top floor. That may take just a little bit of beam work and there might need to be a pretty good post right here, but we're still going to be able to gain a lot of open feeling by knocking that corner of that wall out. And now what I mentioned, everything's closed off. Take a look at this. See that dirty spot on the floor? That used to be raised, it matched that. So they brought this out and kind of had this big, weird shape that ended right there. And my kids were constantly tripping on it. That 3/4 of an inch step up to be on it with that threshold, just like that one. Constantly tripping. So one day when they were gone, I was sick of it and I ripped it all up. And I did a pretty poor job of putting some finish down, but I knew it was only temporary. And I cut the whole thing back to just here. So now nobody seems to be tripping on it. We have this defined transition from this space to that space and nobody's falling on it. When it comes to the floor in the actual kitchen, I don't know what's under there for sure, but I knew under here was original hardwood. So we might rip out hardwood in there depending on what's under this. Otherwise, we're gonna end up with the hardwood in here and tile from about the edge of the fridge into that direction. But what I started to say before is when I ripped all this up, if you look, kick some junk out of the way, look at the way the floor ends here. And then it continues right there. This used to be a short wall also that would have gone to the ceiling. And right there was the doorway between the kitchen and the dining room. So it used to be even more closed off than it is now. And you look at that and think, well, that must be structural then. But because of the design of the house, it's really not. The pitch of the roof goes from a different direction. So there's really no weight on this whole wall. That whole wall was just there to divide this up. That's why we punched that hole in there a while back. And there is nothing structural inside of that. So we kind of know right away, we can rip all that out, open this whole thing up, and make it big and nice and pretty. Take that out, that's gonna be great. Open up a space in there. I don't exactly know what else I need to say about this at this point. This is going to be a lot of work. I'm gonna get some help from Katie for sure, and her dad, my father-in-law's contractor, so he's helping me put in the windows and probably anything else I need a second set of hands with, he'll be here for. I'm not looking forward to it. I have been dreading this project for a long time, knowing it needed to happen, knowing that it's coming. Hey, dogs. Hey, can you quit fighting so I can finish having a conversation with the peoples of the internet? Thank you. Kind of dreading this one. I have done some aspect of everything that we're gonna do here. I've done a project with insulation. I've done lots of drywall. I've done cabinets, I've done floors, I've done all of this. I've put a few windows in, helped people put a few windows in. I shouldn't take all the credit. I have never done this much stuff all at once in one project. And it feels a little bit daunting. You know, we have furniture that has to go find a home until we're done. So we're thinking about different rooms we can shove some of this stuff into. The couch and the love seat and stuff, I think those are gonna have to go out into the barn and get wrapped in a tarp and, you know, kind of policed to hope that mice don't find it in the time that they're out there. So I'm excited. It's time to kick this thing off. It's actually time to get the job done, but I have been dreading it. And well, I don't know what else to say at this point, but I might do a quick walkthrough with less jabbering and more just shots of what we have so we can get that crisp, clean, before shot ugliness. And that's going to be about all for me this time, guys. Stay tuned for the rest of this series. I don't know how long it is. I don't know how long it's going to take, but there's going to be a lot of stuff coming from this project. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Hey, what are you doing?